My name is Dr. Jackie Williams with Capavella, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm joined today with
Zach Dodson. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, certified hypnotherapist.
We're going to talk about the PPP scale within the team app today, and we're really excited about it. And Zach, tell me a little bit about the PPP scale.
Right. Our goal was to create a scale that's going to measure the connection between our minds and our bodies. Every day we have an interaction between the two that's going to be guiding us through our everyday activities in such a way that's going to be mindful or it's going to be mindless. Some of us walk through life just reacting to the stimuli that are coming at us from every direction and every thing from our past to our projections into the future. And some of us, or all of us, have a difficulty siphoning out the things that are going to benefit us versus the things that are going to hinder us and make it so that we can't progress to our potential.
Okay. So I really like that idea of mindfulness or mindless, because we are, when we get or we experience something, and it doesn't have to be traumatic, we just go through life and experience anything, and it can be a positive emotion, it can be a negative emotion, it can be any type of an experience, we are going to react.
A stub toe.
A stub toe.
What does that do to our day? Waking up on the wrong side of the bed. What does that do to our day?
And so this PPP scale is going to be able to help build and bridge the gap, again, to build a toolbox to really feed to the need of mindfulness versus just plain reactionary.
And so it's going to measure the amount of mindfulness that we have, the amount of connection that we have between our consciousness and our bodies in order to give us some tools. Can you explain some of the tools?
Yeah, so these tools are, I'm a visual learner, so the idea of like building a toolbox is really what I want to do. So if people walk around with empty toolboxes, but they say, oh look, I got a toolbox. I'm like, yeah, but it's empty, so let's fill it up. So some of the toolbox or tools that we're going to be having to fill up your toolbox are within the app. And so once we take that PPP scale, we're going to be able to really fine tune and find tools specific to the app user, so it can really build, like you said, things that I think about, things that I say, things that I do, a thought that pops in my head. So we are going to be able to or be able to connect all of them and put them in our toolbox so that it's mindful, not reactionary.
So I'm not really an athlete, but what comes up in my head is if I'm going to be playing a sport, there's going to be some muscle memory that I have to learn in order to perform at my peak. Now, if we're going to apply that to the PPP in our minds, we have to have that muscle memory. Okay, when this crisis happens, this is how I react.
That's a really great thing about the PPP scale and the tools that we're building.
Right. They're
not just for elite athletes. They are for everybody on this bell curve of building a toolbox. Because yes, do elite athletes need mindfulness? Yes. If you walk into a boardroom, do you need mindfulness? Yes. If you stub your toe, would you benefit from some tools of mindfulness?
Being able to pay attention.
Absolutely. Being able to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's beneficial to everybody. So the idea of it's a fitness forward app, yes, but it's going to be a game changer for everybody.
A mindfulness forward app too.
Mindfulness forward app.
A mental fitness forward app.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking about this for my career.
Okay.
I own a private practice in mental health.
Okay.
And it's a fairly big private practice. And the amount of personnel issues that I have to deal with on a daily basis is this emotion.
Yes, I see that. I see it all over. Yes. And the deep breath, the body language of the deep breath. Yes.
How is specifically this app and this scale going to help me perform at my peak when I'm dealing with some of my employees maybe not performing at their peak?
So I really like that perspective, because one of the things that I love about this app is the idea of this sense of community.
Right.
So not only can you use the app, but every single one of your employees can use the app. And now we've created a whole different sense of community and support and movement. As clinicians, that's what we do all day long, is try to create movement. So when you have these skills of now having mindfulness, we're not making little steps of movement. We're making more movement, both at a conscious and an unconscious level.
So it's going to teach me and my staff, first through me, how to
Absolutely.
pay attention in the moment to what my and our goals are
Absolutely.
in order to, for everybody, the team, to,
The team, yeah.
I got stuck on the team app, to make it so that we can all work together to meet our full potential.
Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the plan. And it starts with the PPP scale to create some really amazing and game-changing movement in anybody's life, not just the elite athletes.
So it's pretty essential that anybody that's going to be using the app, anybody that's going to be interested in physical fitness, anybody that's going to be interested in performing at their peak mental performance, that they participate as much as possible in the app.
It's just like anything else. You can't, I remember you saying one time, you can't, you have to prepare for a PT test. You can't cram it in a day. You have to take it step by step. And that's what this is going to be doing. It's step by step into very manageable activities and engagement within the app, so that it trains your brain to be within that parasympathetic nervous system, so that we create really huge movement.
So just in case anybody doesn't know, PT, I work a lot with the military from a mental health perspective, but also from a performance perspective.
Absolutely.
I see a lot of guys that are not just dealing with like PTSD, but they're dealing with all the effects of making sure that they're the best leader, the best soldier that they can possibly be.
And we're talking men and women, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And in that ability to perform, there are certain like benchmarks that they have to meet, and those benchmarks that they have to meet are both physical, psychological, but also like performance in their job. And what you were just saying is how does somebody perform at that level? So basically what you were saying is a PT test. You can't cram for a PT test.
Right.
You have to put in the work in before, during, and after all of your performances to make sure that you can do it. I had somebody one time tell me that he didn't think that pull-ups were going to be on his PT test.
Really?
And so he didn't do pull-ups.
Like at all?
At all.
Didn't train for it. Okay.
And he failed the PT test because he didn't do enough pull-ups. I believe that it's the same thing when it comes to our mental fitness.
Okay.
If we're training our bodies, if we're training our time, if we're training our schedule, if we're training at our work, if we're training at all of those things, but we're not paying attention to the effect that stuff has on our psyche, we're gonna fail. We're gonna be training to fail. We have to pay attention to that, which is why mindfulness is so important.
100%.
So the PPP. The PPP is a scale that's defined by three
Pillars.
pillars of what we believe is going to bring up the peak performance in a person. So that's preparing, it's practicing, and it's performing. Preparing is how do we use our brains and our bodies in order to prepare for what comes next. It's the practice. Do we have healthy practicing techniques? Do we have techniques that are going to be built in that push us into our peak performance? And then finally, it's like, how are we performing? What are we learning from our performance? How are we using that performance for whatever's next?
And really being able to perform at a different level because of all the tools that you have.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I love about this app, and that we're really proud to bring, is a lot of apps are out there where it's just a fitness app, or it's just a mindfulness app, or it's just a community-based app. This is the one app that embodies, yes, it's fitness, yes, it's mindfulness, but it also adds a sense of community.
Right.
It adds a sense of engagement and support and accountability. So you take all these 5 different apps that everybody has on their phone, and now we need one. It's all together because it creates a community, engagement, support, and some really good movement within its users.
And the research is there too.
Absolutely. So I'm a little bit of a research junkie. I love to read different research articles. Sometimes, I call you, I'm like, hey, I found this article, and you're like, okay, sure, yeah, okay. So one of the things that I really find interesting and quite fascinating is this idea of motivational interviewing and technology-assisted motivational interviewing.
Which are techniques.
Which are 100% techniques.
Okay.
And of the research that is out there, literature says it's about engagement. It's about feeling connected, which that in itself, if you can embody those, it creates stages of change, or growth in stages of change.
Right.
So somebody who might be like, I don't really want to do anything. Once we have this engagement, once we have this ability to create a community, research shows that you start to say, I don't want to do anything, to I kind of do want to do something, but I don't know what, and then moves you along.
And these techniques are there to help us not just be dependent on willpower.
Absolutely.
Not just be dependent on trying harder, working harder, putting our heads down and running into a brick wall.
Does that really work?
No.
That's what the diet industry is so great at, because they're so temporary. This is really creating change over time. So it's not, oh, I don't have the motivation. Oh, I wish I had the motivation like you.
So it's about a lifestyle. It's about a lifestyle change.
It's a lifestyle change, but from a different lens than just exercising or just linking what we think to what we do and how we feel.
Right.
Plus you wrap in that accountability. I'm on there with my friends. I get to have challenges, and we set goals together all the time. And I don't like it when you win, so I make sure that I win. And we're doing all these things together. So now we're in it together. I do it with my husband. I do it with my old teammates. I do it with everybody.
Yeah.
And so that creates that sense of that motivational interviewing that creates movement and change within the user.
That's great.